Alright everyone, now the UN is joining the fray, bitching about Elon Musk daring to criticize their good friends at the ADL, claiming that it's a trolling and harassment campaign. Yes, when the ADL comes in and defames your business, repeatedly, making up studies out of thin air using dubious third-party groups sometimes to claim that your website has become a hotbed of hate, it's become a disinformation machine. It's not doing its job to police speech more. And then you come out and you criticize that firm. That's what you should be doing, number one. You should push back. Apologizing to these morons never works. If you apologize to these groups, typically they double down. They'll dogpile you more. A number of celebrities have found this out the hard way. I would class Musk not just as a business person, but at this point as a sort of celebrity as well. So the impact is increased. When a group is attempting, literally, to rob you of revenue by trying to keep investors from working with your site, what the hell else should you do but point out how they're wrong? He's singled out for a specific treatment. There's Elon derangement syndrome, I suppose, at this point, and has been for some time. The fact is that for most intents and purposes, nothing on Twitter has changed other than a switch of the site's name to x.com, although it still reroutes to Twitter. I still call it Twitter because it's Twitter. It's known as Twitter. The rebrand didn't work. That fell flat. You'll have to tack some more things onto X in order to branch out in order to fully do that. Just don't go meta mode. Never go meta mode. You've got that. You've got Musk removing some of the TOS with regards to, for example, supposed disinformation with regards to Hong Kong, certain medical topics. Those TOS remain in full force on YouTube, so I won't mention those. Those have been stripped back. And then you had a wave of account unbannings. A lot of those accounts quickly got rebanned because the people, for some reason, even during that period where the TOS were significantly relaxed, they just couldn't help themselves. In some cases, I think they're like, well, I've been off Twitter for 2 years anyway, I don't miss it anymore, so fuck it, I'm just going to get myself banned for the cloud or something like that. Or they're just an edgelord. Now, that's all that's happened. That hasn't led to a rise in hate incidents or anything like that. Hate speech doesn't even exist, but we'll use the colloquial term. Again, we've got to linguistics matter. I pointed this out in my book on gun rights, actually, the gun rights debate and how to win it. I pointed out that when you get bogged down like with the term assault rifle, the colloquial definition is different from the proper legal definition. But a lot of people understand the colloquial, not the true legal definition. The definition of militia, I mean, it has to be pointed out, but if you get bogged down in minutia, you run into a problem. I mean, the debate sort of breaks down and nobody's certainly being convinced that they're right or that they're wrong. Everyone's just sort of, they sit there, yell at each other for a while and go away. The same would be true with hate speech. But even if we use the colloquial definition, the only studies that are showing a significant spike in hate speech, again, to use that modern term in the improper context, are dubious at best. They're from groups that seem to exist for the sole purpose of defamation, which is ironic since they're working with the so-called Anti-Defamation League. This has happened to people like me before. Years ago, it wasn't really sites so much, it was content creators. The ADL, SPLC, other groups like that go in, and they basically tell a site, hey, we would like to work with you. And they're like, oh, that'll be good for, our ESG score, basically. And then once a bunch of investors have come in because of the positive wording that was applied to the site by like the ADL or something, they've got you over the barrel because now a significant proportion of your income is reliant upon appeasing that third party. This also happened with the U.S. government with like the Twitter files and stuff like that. The U.S. government effectively starts working with a site and then they begin to pressure them. They start off very soft and say, look, we can help your site. We've identified a couple of minor problems. If we take care of those, investors will love you. Meanwhile, they're talking to those third-party investors behind the scenes, setting the whole thing up. It's a grift. It's basically mafia tactics. And they use the carrot and stick methodology too. They'll give you plenty of carrots. Your site will become very wealthy as long as you effectively do what they tell you to do. It's not a bad gig for the people running the sites unless they have some sort of ethics and principles with regards to free expression. Now, for a normal company, let's say a soda chain or something, is free expression really their business? No, they make soda. What is Twitter? Twitter is part of the modern public square. Hundreds of millions of people are debating politics and society and all manner of topics on Twitter and on YouTube, and, well, it used to be on Facebook. Insta, I suppose, is still used for that, etc., 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 on down the line. So there's more of a vested public interest in maintaining a semblance of free speech on these sites, too. So when the UN, a globalistic body that has benefited very, very few people in time's history that it's existed, is coming out and joining with the ADL to lambaste Elon Musk, repeating effectively the defamation from the Anti-Defamation League, and he responds, all of a sudden he's a villain. I just find that a little bit obtuse. Clearly they're worried because normally groups like that don't like to weigh in on this kind of issue, because, you know, there might be backlash or something like that. They prefer to let these third-party groups handle it. Apparently, Elon Musk has slipped the leash a little bit too much. So now they're trying to tighten the cord, and we'll see what happens with that. That's about all. Peace out.